Kind of later in the 1800s left them to die, and in social studies too you learn a lot about the Irish potato famine, and this statue is depicting that, where often people say even it was a genocide against the Irish people perpetrated by the British government. Millions of people died, and that the famine is why there are so many Irish descendants in the United States, because during that time they left. So with the Irish War of Independence, it started with a man named Michael Collins, and he helped form the IRA, and their purpose was to separate the island of Ireland, that is right next to the English island, and gain their independence, as most colonies do. So this center photo is of Trinity College in Dublin. It's my top choice for college right now. And the importance of it is Michael Collins, during the Irish War of Independence, went to Trinity, where he met with a spy who was in the British government, and he gained information for them to help win the war, which they ended up winning. We'll get to it later. So Dublin Castle, it looks like a castle, but it's in the middle of the city, and it's a government building. But if you look in the bottom left, it's actually a wall on the opposite of the castle. There's a green and then a wall, and the wall was built so that when the Queen came and visited Dublin, she didn't have to see the oppressed people who were starving, poor. So they built the wall so she would see the beautiful city, but not see the people who were starving behind it. Except a woman and Eamon de Valera were executed in the yard that is in the bottom left that has the cross in it. One of the people was so injured that he couldn't stand, and they had to support him in a chair so that they could execute. People would paint in their jails. I know it's not a common thing now, but I guess in this time period. So they have holes in the door, and if you look into the door, you can see almost the entire cell. And then if you go in and you look out, it's a very small hole looking out. Your vision is much less. But there was a beautiful painting of Mother Teresa in one of the. And this wall, no matter where you look, is called the Peace Wall, and its significance is that it separates Unionist neighborhoods, Loyalist neighborhoods, and Republican neighborhoods. The Peace Wall, before the Good Friday Agreement, which ended the Modern Troubles ceasefire, was at 44 sections of the wall. It is now at 88 since the ending of the Modern Troubles. And why it is so high, and why they have, if you look here, people have protection on their yards because the other side will throw bottles over the wall and try to destroy.
Pretty intimidating. So right here, you can see there's these three pillars that say remember, respect, and resolution. And on this wall, there used to be a mural of Oliver Cromwell. And Oliver Cromwell, during the 1600s, he's from England. He came to the city of Drogheda and just massacred all the Irish people. So they took the mural and they actually moved it to a different building. But they put these pillars here so that they remember to what happened, and so that the country can progress away from the conflict. It was after the Good Friday Agreement, so after the Troubles were supposed to have ended. And the IRA, after the Troubles, split into the real IRA and the provisional IRA. And this memorial right here is where the car was parked.
Because what happened was, during the Troubles and afterwards, I guess, because this was afterwards, there was a code word where if you were going to bomb something, because most bombings were to destroy businesses of the other side rather than to kill people, they tried to keep the body count low despite what ended up happening. So they called the police, said at this time there was going to be a bomb here, here's the code word, whatever. The message ended up getting twisted around somehow, and where the police were evacuating people to, because they thought the car bomb was supposed to be at a different place, was actually where the car bomb went off. So they were evacuating people to the location of the car bomb instead of vice versa. It's very tragic. Mrs. Gardner and my semester I ended up Skyping with her husband. They are some of the sweetest people I've ever met, and the government knows what members of the real IRA planted the car bomb, but won't put them on trial or anything. So there's a lot of sadness in Omaha to this day about it. Forceful with his opinion on what was going on. He made some good points though. He said that Northern Ireland should still be part of the United Kingdom because the Republic of Ireland itself is very financially unstable. It is often referred to as a third world, first world country because they are so dependent on other people's money. And he put a lot of effort into talking about how the island couldn't survive with it, like being its own country as a whole. And he also said that the United States should rejoin the United Kingdom because we all like the Queen so much and the royal family. Very interesting. And then there's me and Andy in the left. And also in my bag there's a full-size pillow that I ended up bringing into a parliament building. We are from every different organization that was in the Troubles, so they, I don't want to say have permission, but have permission to take us to areas that one of the other ones might not have. And they took us in, their company's like a black cab taxi service because during the Troubles, the black cabs were used. They would like, the organizations would basically like take the car, the black taxi, so that they could go into the other places of the town. And then this one, this is our group of people with members of the real IRA. They were protesting to end modern internment. Internment is holding without reason to hold.
Without charge.
Yeah, which happened a lot during the Troubles. And during internment, the hunger strikers went on hunger strike to oppose internment. And very important, but now they're saying that modern internment is happening, so they were protesting. I have to say, this situation was one of the most nerve-wracking things I've ever been a part of, because it was scary.
It was a demonstration that was taking place in the street.
Yeah.
And nobody was fooling around.
Yeah.
It was all business to them.
Mr. Hawley was videotaping them.
Against, I was told not to. But somebody covered me. Do you remember who I hid behind?
Was it me? No, I'm gonna get it. And then in this picture is Winston Irvine, or Winky. That's his nickname. We didn't make it up, I promise. He goes by Winky. He is a member of the PUP, which is another unionist party, political party. He got involved in the Troubles at a young age and actually sat in on the Good Friday Agreement and helped formulate it and such. And since then he has turned to politics, went back to school, got his education. I love Winky. But he reflected a lot about the importance of integrated education in the coping of what happened during the Troubles. Even now, with the peace wall, all of the communities are separated. There's very little integration, and so basically what happens is that in the Catholic communities, they're taught the Catholic viewpoint of what happened in the Troubles, and vice versa with the Protestant, Unionist, Loyalist section. And he's the one who I got the statistics from about the doubling of the peace wall. And the discussion we had with him, I asked him if he could go back, or if he could go back, would he have left? Would he have wanted his parents to leave the Troubles so that he wouldn't have gotten involved with them, knowing what had happened? And he reflected on how thinking about the situation would be, if it happened now, would he want his children to be in it, and would he leave with his children? And that's a theme I noticed along all of the people we talked to, is that they're working towards a better society for their children and for the next generation because they experienced such brutality during my college essays on that topic of working towards a better generation. And the prompt for the essay was, a lot of people talk about the good life, typical Florida prompt. What do you think is your vision of the good life, and how will the University of Florida help you do that? And I talked about how the good life is living your life for the future rather than yourself, because how you affect other people is what builds your character and what it's your worth, basically. So I don't know. And also, I talked about that a lot, and how I want to be able to help the next generation and make a better world for everyone, because if I can't live in it, I want other people to be able to. And I'll be honest, going to Northern Ireland was, or Ireland in general, was the first time I had really left the country, first time out of North America, and talking to all of these people and seeing them firsthand and talking to them about what I had learned about in a classroom setting is an unbelievable experience, and doing so prompted me to change what I want to major in. I wanted to major in pre-med for my entire life, basically. And after this, I had a change of heart, so and I want to do international relations, but I thank Ireland for it. It's a good opportunity.
Hotel in Ireland.
In the world, isn't it?
In the world.
In the world.
In the world? Okay.
Yeah.
And it was, during the Troubles, was constantly being bombed, and it was considered very unsafe to stay there. And after the Troubles ended, President Clinton actually stayed there to show people that it was okay to stay there now.
It's his favorite hotel.
It's his favorite, yeah, hotel.
And on the inside they have a, I don't know, it's like up a staircase and they have pictures along it, and it just shows the constant bombing throughout the years of the hotel. But it's so expensive to stay in. It's a beautiful hotel. We use their Wi-Fi. On the western side of Northern Ireland, which is like in the middle, kind of, in the top. Two different names. Derry is the official name of it, but if you are a unionist and want to maintain the commitment to Great Britain, you use Londonderry. So if you just walk around and ask people about the city, you can see what side of the struggles they're on and such. The importance of this sign, how Derry is set up is the center of the city is in a wall. I'm not even going to talk about the Apprentice Boys, it's a waste of time. But it's set up where this is the main city and it's in a wall, and then down below it's called the Bogside. And during the Troubles, it was a horrible place to live, very low income area, and there was a lot of gerrymandering that occurred so that no one in the Bogside had voice in lawmaking or anything, and only the people who were in the center of the city had the ability to do so. And it was set up so that the Protestants lived in the part of the city that was wealthy and had a voice, whereas everyone in the Bogside was Catholic. And so they decided to riot eventually. We'll get to that. This is one of the most tragic things that I think has happened. Basically, a lot of intellectuals from Queen's University, which is in Belfast, saw this oppression that was occurring in the Bogside in Northern Ireland, and they created a civil rights association much based on that was going on in the United States by Martin Luther King and such. They also were very adamant about singing We Shall Overcome, similar to that of the Civil Rights Association. Bernadette Devlin was a founding member of Queen's University. And so what happened on Bloody Sunday was that they were trying to march to the town hall in Derry to have a speech, talk about the oppression, but the British government found out and created blockades on the route so that they wouldn't make it there. Bernadette Devlin and most of the people from what ended up becoming the Derry Civil Rights Association dealt with it try to get people to keep going, we'll just go and we'll have our speeches at another location. Some people were not okay with that, and they stayed at the barricades. We're throwing rocks, you know, not anything excessively violent, throwing rocks, a lot of shouting, that type of thing. And the British government took it under their own control and murdered 13 people. And this flag, banner, and this handkerchief are what are depicted in this slide. Basically, the people were being shot at, and so Father Daly was waving the handkerchief so that people could be taken to safety without hopefully getting shot, and they used the banner to try to like help with the blood that was like pouring out of people and such. And people were using Glenfada Park to escape from the shooting that was going on. But this is Soldier F. Soldier F, that's what they were named in the first thing. Followed people into Glenfada Park and shot them as they were trying to escape from the rioting. And they redid the wall, but they left these are bullet holes from what happened on Bloody Sunday, and then someone muraled, because they do that, this to depict, this says impunity and this says martyrs' families, and how what happened was they came out with a report after Bloody Sunday, basically saying that all of those who were rioting, all of the Irish, were shooting and were carrying weapons on them, and that it was allowed for the British government, the British police, to shoot out during Bloody Sunday, which was not the case at all. And so then another report came out that said that all of those inside were innocent, and they came out with the names of the soldiers, which had not happened before, and all of the soldiers before were told that they weren't going to be tried, and then that changed with the new report. And there was one man, he was a teenager, who was shot, and then he was planted with a gun on him, or it was a some type of like explosive, and it was planted on him to look like he was going to use it, and that part hasn't been taken aback yet, but they're working on it. And when we were here, we met with John Kelly, whose brother Michael Kelly died in Bloody Sunday, and he was there at the riots, and he was supposed to be taking care of his brother, and so it was a very touching, I guess, experience. And we had the opportunity to Skype with him before we went over, like during the class, but actually being there and having him show where everything happened, and like where his brother died, where his mom was looking out at the crowd from an apartment building. That's one of the most, like, I'm getting chills now talking about it. It's something you can't really explain, but it's, I don't know, it's very, he helped create the museum for it, and that's where the banners and things are, and they have a lot of video footage from Bloody Sunday as well. And I personally think that this is one of the most tragic events that happened in the Troubles.